And to be honest, most times I'm the only non-medical, if you will, person in the room. I'm the only non-white coat wearing person in the room. And many times I'm the only Black person in the room. And cancer is affecting our communities at high rates. And I would like to encourage other therapists to connect with cancer treatment centers, connect with community to see how you can help provide support. So today I wanted to come to you on all my left-handed people know that Hi guys, so Crystal Joseph here, licensed clinical professional counselor and licensed professional counselor. I'm also the owner of PsycYourMind, and I'm an approved clinical supervisor. Please pardon me for the recording of this vlog as my allergies are acting up. Stuff is blooming. The ground is warm. But let's get to it. Today's topic is Scanxiety. All right, so Scanxiety as it relates to cancer and Psycho-Oncology. So in the mental health world, specialists who have an expertise and a focus in helping those who are pre, peri, and post-treatment of cancer are called psycho-oncologists. You may go in to get a certification, extra training, and other things to garner this title. All right, so Scanxiety is the moments when anxiety, worry, and nervousness are activated or one is triggered prior to having scans for your treatment. Or during the clinical staging of cancer, there are many active tests going on, and thus scans have to be done. It's common to feel nervous. However, depending on the type of cancer and the type of scan being done, other layers are added onto why a person may feel this way. So, for example, if you are a person who may be claustrophobic and you have to have a particular scan done that requires being inserted into a tube for 90 minutes, that may be difficult and produce Scanxiety 24 to 72 hours prior to the scan. Another fear and worry also concerning cancer and how it organically lives is it may metastasize to another part of the body. And so this is the test that would inevitably show, has this cancer grown into the lymph nodes, other organs or tissues in the body? And so many people, clients I serve, express what's called Scanxiety. And it's a portmanteau of scan and anxiety. So I hope that helps confirm any questions you have about what Scanxiety actually is. How long does it actually last? Again, anywhere from 48 to 72 hours before the scan, and then until results are received. In a lot of medical offices, the patient or client receives their scan results prior to speaking with their oncologist. This also can create a level of anxiety or Scanxiety because the person is able to view results, whether or not they're astute in dissecting and deciphering what is in this messaging, and they're able to sit with that, unfortunately, before a medical professional can explicate the actual results and what this means for their prognosis. So this is another reason why Scanxiety is a thing. It occurs and it will continue to occur. I'm grateful to serve as a psycho-oncologist in my other hats that I wear as the owner of PsycYourMind. In doing so, I'm able to handhold and walk on a journey alongside clients who are experiencing cancer, whether pre, peri, or post-treatment. I'm also grateful that for their oncological team, the presence of mind was denoted to say, hey, you need to see a therapist as you go through your treatment. Many times people are not positioned to receive counseling or therapeutic services until they are later in their treatment, until a diagnosis goes in the direction they do not want it to go. And by then, they may not know how to sit and or deal with the prognosis of what cancer is. So I'm grateful for the referrals that I've received. I'm grateful for Memorial Sloan Kettering, where I participate in many of their trainings. Y'all with the shoe cam. Okay, so now we're going to highlight similarities and differences between what is called Scanxiety and white coat syndrome. So while Scanxiety is the anticipatory notion of having a scan, procedure, or treatment performed, and I'll say as it relates to cancer in this regard, or any other illness that someone is experiencing. White coat syndrome or white coat hypertension is when your blood pressure is higher in a medical setting than it would be if taken in another setting or otherwise. And so Scanxiety can encompass white coat syndrome. So Scanxiety can incorporate white coat syndrome or white coat hypertension. Another thing regarding the anticipation of treatment or of an event, procedure, or test, it can be positive or negative. I don't want people to assume that it's always negative. So say that you're almost at the end of your treatment, all your other stats and tests have come back in a positive format, and so you're very hopeful for the next appointment. That also is anticipatory. That also is triggering and activating of Scanxiety. So I don't want you to think that it's 100% negative. So how to cope, some setbacks and limitations regarding Scanxiety as it relates to cancer. So what I've noticed is people want a sense of belonging and they want to be adjacent to others who have gone through what they're experiencing and come out on the other side. The caveat to that is by joining certain meetup groups, reading forums, blogs, watching vlogs, and other aspects can induce a level of regular clinical anxiety, along with depression secondary to the anxiety related to your diagnosis. Okay, so I've noticed, particularly they are starting to use cancer as a plot twist. They're starting to use cancer as the protagonist or antagonist story. They're starting to use cancer as a denouement. They're starting to use cancer as some pinnacle point or aggravator in their use of conveying a story to the rest of the world, whether fiction or whether nonfiction. Unfortunately, my clients are thinking They're coping, they're creating joy in their life, they're making space for themselves, and they're going to sit up and watch Netflix and chill, only to find out by episode 2, 3, 4, or 5, they're extremely activated. They're extremely triggered because the main character, who they loved, is diagnosed with cancer, possibly a similar cancer that they have or some other type, but it hits too close to home. So then they have to backpedal, and psychologically, this thing that they once thought brought them joy no longer brings them joy. They are in fact triggered or activated, and now the cycling of anxiety-induced depression secondary to their medical diagnosis of cancer is activated. And so I want us to be mindful as we read the literature, as we provide suggestions to our clients, that just getting over it or finding a group of like-minded people or, just make time for yourself may not be the best suggestions for people who are dealing with cancer, but particularly in the Black community, when there are so many other layers of psychosocial stressors that are products of supremacy. And then in turn, they're triggered from an organic or medical portion because their body doesn't feel like their own. A lot of times people feel like cancer is happening to them. You're being poked, you're being prodded, chemotherapy, you may bloat. Depending on the cocktail of drugs that are injected, one is called red devil chemo. There's a lifetime limit of how much someone's heart can take of that chemotherapy. So keep in mind that it's not as simple as, let me join this meetup group. Let me go ride a bike on the Potomac. Let me watch this series. It can be troubling, deeply troubling for someone. So with that being said, here are some other ways to cope. Continue to ask questions of your medical professionals, including those who are not within the oncology team. The reason why this is a coping method and helpful is due to how the body is a working machine and mechanism, and there may be some insight provided by someone else on your medical team that may help resolve any feelings of indifference or anxiety related to the cancer diagnosis. 2, another way to cope is to sit with your feelings in front of a therapist, process them, and be truthful. Another way to cope is to ask for help. Many times people don't realize that how they view themselves prior to cancer, how they are during treatment, and what they will be thereafter may be 3 different people. And it's okay to ask for help if you realize that what you thought you once were able to do, you no longer can do. So bring in your crew, bring in your community, tell them what you need, create a safe space, and let them get to action on your behalf. Another thing is, yes, please create time for yourself, but do it within reason and investigate. Also be mindful of how you ingest information regarding cancer from outside sources outside of your medical team. And lastly, I would have to say, if you are not already connected to a mental health therapist who specializes in this topic, please reach out and join someone to partner with you as you maneuver through this journey. Thank you so much, and I hope you've learned something today.